Greetings everyone, and welcome back to another episode of STOCAST. Today I want to talk about something very near and dear to my heart, or I guess I should say something very near and dear to my wallet, and that is a price tag of things in this game. It's too damn expensive. And I try to review most premium ships over on Tribble so that I don't actually have to pay the full cost over on Holodeck. But it's every couple of weeks they're putting out a new ship that costs $200. I just reviewed the Quaijan, if that's how you pronounce it, frigate, and it's a cool ship, no doubt about it, but is it $200 good? I mean, if you're selling keys in order to buy it off the exchange, maybe it's going to cost you closer to $100, but if you're talking about the number of boxes that have to be opened in order for it to come into existence on the server, it's still putting $200 or so into Cryptic's pocket. You're being subsidized when you buy it off of the exchange by other players who have gambling problems, but at the end of the day, somebody paid $200 for it. And the idea that a ship in this game, which is 11 years old and is full of bugs and all those sorts of things, and that they can turn around and sell us something with a straight face that's going to cost $200 it's kind of ridiculous. And I think we've all kind of become acclimated to it, and we all kind of just put up with it, and because we're only talking to each other and consuming each other's content and everything like that, it's sort of a self-selection problem, right? You know, the people who aren't willing to put up with it at all just don't play the game, and they aren't here. And that probably is a factor in the low population of the game, except that these days, most game companies are greedy like this, and they have these ridiculous business models. And I know that I've tried to push free-to-play stuff pretty hard. I got my free-to-play account, which I've spent an enormous amount of time on, and I try to do free-to-play builds and stuff like that, and it's not always the best content in the world. I've said some dumb things. I've said some things that weren't very accurate before, but at least I'm trying to fill that space, and it's just crazy to me that we put up with this, and I really wonder, you know, what's going to happen in the future, because we've seen Mud's Market and stuff like that as sort of a test bed, and we know that there's the growing regulatory pressure to get rid of loot boxes. But even if they get rid of the loot boxes, which would be a genuinely good thing, and I do have my warnings on my review videos, they're still going to be charging really high prices for everything. But if we could get it down to $60 for a premium ship, if they were to just start sticking premium ships straight into Mud's Market for $60 each, even if it is padded out with extra stuff. You know, we see those legendary bundles with just one ship. It's usually $60 on sale, and then it comes with a level boost or whatever. And I think those are a lot more acceptable. It's still a pretty high price for what you're getting, but it's way more reasonable than the lockbox model. And I just don't know how this continues. I don't know who's buying all the ships, because it seems to me like the average player might have one or two premium ships, but they release so many of them so often that, you know, a new premium ship will come out and maybe a handful of people buy it because they've decided, oh, that's the right one for me, you know. They've been waiting, and they've passed on the last one and the one before that and the one before that, but this one, for whatever reason, maybe you just really love the aesthetic from Star Trek Discovery and you love the transformation stuff, so when the Book's frigate came out, you said, this is the one for me, this is the one I've been waiting for, or whatever it is, whatever your ship is. It doesn't really matter what it is. And then you get it, but that's, you know, a small number of people. So it must be the whales who are buying every ship, every release. And I gotta tell you, there's no way I could buy everything that they release. And as a content creator, I would love to have everything they ever release so I can review it. And thank Q that Tribble exists so that I can do that, because if I had to actually buy everything they released, you'd see a lot less reviews on this channel, I can tell you that. Right? This is a business model that intentionally turns people away and focuses only on a tiny minority. And it seems like they want to grow the game, but it's already so old, and it seems like they want to expand because they added the console versions and all that, but they continue this ridiculous business model I've said it before, and I'll say it again now. If you were to take someone who has never played the game before and isn't acculturated into this nonsense, and maybe even someone who isn't used to ridiculous price gouging in games in general, and you were to bring them and sit them down and show them the Zentaur or any ship, any premium ship, and you say, here's this 11-year-old game, and it has all these bugs, but it is Star Trek, and it's still kind of fun, and you know, this ship's really cool, and it's got this thing it can do and that thing it can do. They'd be like, oh yeah, that seems pretty good, you know. And you say, oh, you know, it costs $200. They'd look at you like you were an idiot. And they would probably be right. And they'd probably be right for calling me an idiot too. And I don't know how we keep getting hoodwinked on this stuff, because there's no doubt in my mind that none of the ships in this game are worth $200, and yet we still habitually buy them. Even though I don't buy all of them, I still buy one once in a while. I did get the Dale Kalina, I did get the Section 31 Science Destroyer so I could get Exodus, and somehow they keep getting my money, and I'm sure for some of you, they get your money too. And I know some of you are going to say, well, not me. You know, a lot of you, I assume, have probably made some C-store purchases, which are a lot more fair, but you haven't bought any premium stuff. But I'd like to know what you guys think about that. You know, maybe you guys could tell me down below. Have you ever purchased a premium ship or not? Do you only stick to C-store stuff? Are you free to play all the way? I'd love to know. I did do a poll like this a while back, and there was quite a few more people than I anticipated who self-described themselves as a whale. So I guess the whale population is pretty large in this game. But regardless of how that works out, regardless of how many people are whales and are willing to buy this stuff, you still have to question the audacity of it just to begin with. Because it's very easy to put the blame on the consumers and say, oh, well, the problem is the people who are buying it, right? But, I mean, just imagine that. I'm just trying to imagine the nerve it takes to put out a blog post full of typos and spelling mistakes, to announce a $200 product in an 11-year-old bug-filled game, which will almost inevitably have bugs when it's released, and think that that is something to be proud of. I mean, one of the things that helps protect Star Trek Online is that it flies under the radar. You hear about really big games. Obviously, big games, big publishers get a lot of coverage. And when they do stuff that's really greedy or whatever, they tend to get called out on it. And then when you have stuff that's just an absolute scam or whatever, they tend to get called out too. But apparently, Star Trek Online is not that interesting. Because if you look at gaming news, we almost never come up. And they don't really advertise the game either. So you would almost be forgiven for not even knowing this game exists. And I think they like it that way, because they're not being called out on this. You're not seeing articles on gaming sites or whatever, or outrage on Reddit outside of, you know, the normal channels. Obviously, people are talking about it in the subreddits for the game. But just like in general gaming spaces, it just doesn't come up. And I think that it's allowed to get a free pass for that reason. Not that they would change anything. All the other companies who get called out for their nonsense, they still just keep doing it anyway, because it doesn't really cost them any business. But yeah, I guess I just wanted to vent a little bit about how goddamn greedy Cryptic is, and about how ridiculous the price tags in this game are. Because if the ships were more reasonably priced, I would buy more of them. That's the thing. A new ship comes out, and it's really cool, and it's really good, and I really like it, and I want to recommend it to you guys, and I do the review, and I say all the positive stuff about it, but in the back of my mind, all I can think is, it's $200 fucking dollars. You know, so people aren't going to buy it. And especially, this really gets me because of the review I just did for the Books frigate. Because they put a lot of effort into that ship. Those animations were a lot of work, I'm sure. And almost no one is going to see it, and almost no one is going to be able to appreciate it, because it's $200. It's like, what is the point? Well, anyway, I'm going to end the rant here. Thank you guys very much for listening. Take care of yourselves. I'll see you in the next one. Bye.